And from Pakistan, let's shift our focus to the ongoing political turmoil in the United Kingdom, where another political crisis is playing out. 24 hours ago, Liz Truss resigned as Prime Minister. The leadership race is now underway, and guess who is contemplating a comeback? Boris Johnson. You heard that right. He was ousted by his own government, remember, just 3 months back, and now he has emerged as one of the front runners in this race. The current Defence Secretary Ben Wallace could endorse him. Take a look.
We have to think about that legitimacy question that the public will be asking themselves, and also about who could win the next election. That's obviously important for any political party at the time. So, at the moment, I would lean towards Boris Johnson.
Yes, it could happen. The Defence Secretary isn't alone. Business Secretary Jacob Rees-Mogg has launched a social media campaign. He's one of the most loyal supporters of Boris Johnson. In fact, multiple members of the Conservatives have backed this very campaign. But what about Johnson himself? We haven't heard from him publicly yet, especially since yesterday. Do you know why? He was holidaying in the Dominican Republic when Liz Truss stepped down. Reports say he's yet to make up his mind, but he's set to be sounding out his Conservative colleagues nonetheless. If Johnson decides to run, what does he need to do? He will have to declare his candidature first, and then he will need endorsements from at least 100 Tory MPs out of a total of 357.
We've fixed a high threshold, but a threshold that should be achievable by any serious candidate who has a realistic prospect of going through. A threshold of 100 members of Parliament nominating a candidate obviously allows for 3 candidates potentially to come forward.
100 MPs, that is the threshold. But can Johnson get 100 endorsements? It would be tough. Remember, back in June, 148 MPs had voted against him in the confidence vote. And before that, 60 ministers had resigned from his government. So gathering the votes will be an uphill task. And the other problem for Johnson is time. This leadership contest will be a fast-tracked election. It will be completed in a week. The contenders have to submit their endorsements by Monday. And by next Friday, the name of the next Prime Minister will be announced. So there is not a lot of time to campaign and gather the votes. The bookmakers have their favourites already. Take a look.
Rishi Sunak has been the front runner in that race, and all the others have just been kind of gathering behind, jostling for position. In terms of the bigger price candidates, you've got Penny Mordaunt, who's been there or thereabouts.
Yes, Rishi Sunak and Penny Mordaunt. Why these two names, but? Why are they cropping up again and again? Well, both leaders have their strengths. Let's talk about Sunak first. Rishi Sunak ran a compelling campaign the last time. He lost out to Liz Truss, of course, but his appointment could reassure the financial markets, especially after the turmoil caused by the mini-budget. He's a former Chancellor of the Exchequer and someone who is tried and tested, as they say. And the other choice, of course, is Penny Mordaunt. She's the first candidate to enter this leadership contest. A former Navy reservist and Defence Secretary, she has also served as a leader of the House of Commons, but remains untested at the highest levels, since she barely has any ministerial experience. But Mordaunt has raised her profile in recent days. She put up a strong defence of the Conservatives this week in Parliament. Liz Truss was running late for the session. The opposition was raising questions over her absence, so Mordaunt stood up and counter-attacked the opposition.
Well, the Prime Minister is not under a desk. I can assure the House that she is not here for a very good reason. Mr. Speaker, with apologies to the Leader of the Opposition and the House, the PM is detained on urgent business. And they will have to make do. I know that the Prime Minister takes her responsibilities to working constructively with the other administrations, and she will always do that.
As you saw, Mordaunt showed her mettle. But can that sway the Conservatives? Will they go with Rishi Sunak or Boris Johnson? Or will it be a dark horse who will rise to the occasion? Well, you won't have to wait for very long because we will get our answer next week. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.